Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is going to be a look ahead to the Phillies game and predictions for people that are betting on other games tonight after the quick look ahead. We have Jake Arrieta, who started off solid this season, battled through his first start, pitched well, only gave up 3, but we couldn't score in his last start against Alcantara, a young 23-year-old for the Fish. And I think tonight the Phillies will get back on their ways after 2 toughies in Washington, or not in Washington, against Washington, and get back to where they're supposed to be. I also think, Ramos got sent down because he still had options, and there's going to be a corresponding move. I'm not sure if it was made yet, but there will be a corresponding move to that send down to see who gets called up. As of right now, I don't see anything in our news that says there's been a corresponding move, but it will be interesting to see who comes up. We have Pezos we traded for. I like him as a lefty because I like his arm. He has some control problems he needs to figure out, but he has a really good arm. Austin Davis, you got what's his name? I'm trying to remember his name. You got Irvin, who can come up as a lefty if you want to put him in the pen as a starter. But I think you might reserve some of our starters in Eichhoff, Irvin, and Anderson for if Pivetta keeps struggling. I believe he still has options to do the same thing we're doing with Ramos at the moment, and he can figure it out in the minors, and that's worked for many guys in the past. It wouldn't be the first that this happens to with Ramos and Pivetta. Even Doc Holliday went back down at the start of his career. I'm not comparing either of them to him. I'm just saying there's been great guys that have went down. It worked for Brett Myers to compare it to a Philly. So I think tonight the Phillies get back to their winning ways. I like the way, other than the bullpen the other day, I don't think Ramos should have closed, which probably screwed with his comments a little bit after he blew that save. That's a bad managing move, I think, there. But other than that, Kapler's been running out the same lineup. He's been letting pitchers go a little bit farther, like letting Eflin go into that 7th when debating the pinch hit for him. So I think overall this year he's been managing a lot better and not as much off of, I don't want to say a script, but the analytical script where it's like, well, 6 innings is enough. He's going to let a guy go out, it seems more likely this year when they're doing well, even at 85 to 90 pitches, if they were rolling through 6 into the 7th and see what they can do, especially with how our bullpen's been shaky. Nicasio did bad last game, but he was good in his first 3 outs. And basically everybody did bad last game, so that was kind of just a brush game, throw it by the side, and move on. I do think the Phillies win this series. They win at least 2 of 3 because we have Jake on the mound. One thing that concerns me is we do not hit young pitching. We haven't seen very well yet, but I do believe Carson Smith, who's a lefty, we will be able to hit tomorrow because we have good hitters against lefties. We have Hoskins, McCutcheon's great against lefties, and that's also Eflin's pitching tomorrow, so if he keeps his hot streak going, that should be a win, and I think we could potentially win these first 2 games with Jake and Zach. And then we have Benny Velo against Jose Urena, who hasn't got off to a good start. He's a 9.22 ERA so far. And I think Vinny Velo will come out. He battled. He pitched 5 okay innings last game, but he battled, and he did well enough that I think that's a start he can build off of. But I do want to say with Pivetta, if he gets sent down to work on things like Ramos does, if he still has options, because I believe he does. I'm pretty sure Velasquez does too. If either of those guys struggle as a rotation, they want to send them down to work on things with options. We have things in the minors. Not Derek Anderson. Drew Anderson impressed in preseason. Cole Irving has been good in the minors. And we have Jared Eichhoff as the wild card, obviously. So, I think we have options. I don't think it's much to worry about if a starter struggles that's not Jake Arrieta or Aaron Nola. I think Nola will figure it out. He has a track record to do so, just like Robertson's been starting to figure it out. And now we will move on to predictions for other games. We got the Red Sox, Orioles, Hess versus Rodriguez. Hess has been good so far this year. Rodriguez has not. So I believe Rodriguez will have a good outing, and Boston will win that game. However, David Hess, if he keeps pitching as well as he's doing, definitely Baltimore could continue to go on their solid ways of this year and beat Boston, but I'm going to give it to Boston because I just think Erod's due a game. Cole Hamels, former Phil versus Tyler Skaggs. That game I'm going to give to the Angels for their start. I think Hamels is due a good start too, but Tyler Skaggs have been very impressive to start the season, so I think he's going to get them over the hump. Got Corbin versus Trevor Williams in Pittsburgh and Washington at DC. I'm going to give that game to the Nationals because they're coming in hot after beating us. In 2, got the White Sox versus the Cubs, Lucas Giolito and Jay Happ. I'm going to give that one of my upset ratings and say Giolito's going to come in on fire, pumped up to face the Yankees, and pitch well against them. Stonick versus Thornton with the Rays and Blue Jays. And I'm going to give that game to the Rays. The Rays have been doing good this year, so I think the Rays will take that one. Braves and Mets, I'm going to give it to the Braves since they're at home. I think Wright will pitch well enough to win that game for them, and Zach Wheeler's still been trying to figure things out this year. Rangers, A's, I'm going to give that to the A's on the road. And then Indians, Royals, I'm going to give that to the Royals as an upset, actually, because Carlos Carrasco has been shaky to start the year, and Brad Keller has been one of the better young pitchers in baseball so far. Paddock and Weaver, I'm going to give that to the Padres. And then Astros, Mariners, that's going to be the M's for me. And then Brewers, Dodgers, that's going to be the Dodgers for me. And then Rockies, Giants, I'm going to give that one to the Giants with Pomeranz on the mound versus Chad Batiste, who's still trying to figure it out. So those have been my predictions and a look ahead for the Phillies. Peace out, everybody. Have a good day. This is Sports Fanatic News. I'm Joe Bohr.